Ripple versus the SEC. Finally over here, the judge has made her final ruling, and I don't think this sucker is going to be appealed. I think this is it. Now, this final ruling is a little bit of a mixed bag. Before we get into it, recognize this. Ultimately, a complete and utter win for the crypto space and for the XRP user and investor. For Ripple, awesome victory. They survived, they can continue going forward, and they got a manageable, while large, a manageable penalty amount. I think we have to recognize those things first and foremost, and you see that excitement in what the price of XRP is doing right now. Having a nice run there. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's some to dig into here. After that, we're going to dig back into the announcement of the XRP Ledger Foundation. I took those videos I did down from yesterday. I got some more information, a little more clarification. So I think, it wasn't good to let those run. Let's do a more fair representation of the facts now that I have, as much as we can get right now. Still a lot happening behind the scenes. All right, but let's go on with the big story here. It's over. The ruling came out. And let's start with the easy part to digest, which was the penalty. The SEC was seeking $2 billion. Of course, they didn't get that. Significant amount, though. Civil monetary penalty is granted in part, and the court will impose a penalty of $125 million. And this was calculated based on, the various infractions that they could prove, and so much per infraction, and here we are, $125 million. There's no disgorgement, a far cry from that $2 billion. It's not minor, but Ripple can pay it. They survive and continue to go on. Kind of what was expected. Large penalty amount, but one that's, doable. So the part we need to look at is the permanent injunction. And it's not just this permanent injunction that has been levied against Ripple and their ODL sales, but it's also the tone of the judge, who's been on our side for most issues during this court case and seems to have a problem with post-ruling Ripple conduct, which is mind-blowing to me. There's a section in this ruling where Ripple admitted, hey, we've accepted responsibility for our actions, and the judge says the following. Ripple's actions, however, are another story. Ripple admits that after the order was issued, it has continued to sell XRP and ODL transactions. Ripple argues that ongoing sales do not have the key characteristics the court relied on in finding Ripple's institutional sales were part of an investment contract. Not so. And then skipping ahead a little bit, the court finds that Ripple's willingness to push the boundaries of the order evidences a likelihood that it will eventually, if it has not already, cross the line. On balance, the court finds that there is reasonable probability of future violations merit the issuance of an injunction. Now, attorney Jeremy Hogan says the following. It's over. SEC versus Ripple case has been quite the journey. Thanks for sharing it with me. $125 million penalty and a generic injunction order. This is a big win for Ripple, no doubt. Have a wonderful day. So I think what he's saying is, this injunction order isn't necessarily going to cause big disruption for Ripple. But can you imagine Ripple going public with a judge criticizing their whole business model? Look, their main business is using ODL to send money, and the judge is saying, look, this has all the signs of further violations. And remember this, all Ripple's ODL using XRPs overseas, that doesn't seem to matter here. They've been using Tether in the United States for quite some time. So the judge has to be talking about those overseas ODL sales. Somehow, those can be pulled back into U.S. jurisdiction. I don't know how, but that's kind of what this order is telling us. Attorney Bill says the following. Finally, it's over, and the Sachs obtain a fine of $125 million. Ripple wins the disgorgement argument, but there is no joy in the relation to ODL sales, which to me is the most important part, and the permanent injunction that was granted. I warned about the risk to ODL sales for the last 4 years. So, we may see a transition where Ripple goes from every payment they send outside of the U.S. is using XRP to every payment they send is solely and only using their new stablecoin. Does this really affect XRP in some way? Well, no, not really. I don't think ODL has been moving the needle in our favor, but it kind of hurts the story, isn't it? You no longer probably have a company that's using XRP for cross-border payments. They're going to be using stablecoins. Probably a better system anyway. They're still leveraging the XRP ledger. To me, that's great, but will the market see it like that? We'll have to have everyone digest this a little bit. I think over time it'll work out, but that's pretty bad. And I think it's bad that, once they got that ruling and they read what the judges said, I think they should have pivoted right there, because this doesn't look great. They got a little bit of a tongue lashing from the judge for their operations post-ruling. When the judge made a ruling, these are securities violations. Maybe they made some minor tweaks. Wasn't enough by a long shot, and they got zapped here a little bit. I don't think that's a great look. Overall, is this a be-all, end-all? No. We got by this. The SEC did not get what they wanted. They wanted XRP to be a security in each and every way, and we conquered them. We won. We were on the right side of the law. I think ultimately that's the big takeaway here. But people that think we're going to hit some kind of flywheel and XRP is going to take over cross-border payments, you might have to revisit that thesis. Outside of maybe new regulations, might not be legal to do so. Personally, I think stablecoins will work better, and the XRP ledger, if they do it right here, should give a world-class experience, fast, efficient, and you are leveraging this technology for a very real, advantage in payments. I say to hell with the story, trying to present, this great case for XRP. Use the technology in its best possible way. And when that happens, XRP will excel. We've seen this with Ethereum. A lot of stuff that happens on that network has nothing to do with the ETH token. It might be happening on Aave or a layer 2 or whatever, but it makes that whole network more vital and more money flowing in, and in return, that ETH token goes up in value. I think we could see the same thing here. Drop the stories and start using this technology for its highest possible use. The price of XRP will take care of itself. Just my opinion, but the way I see it playing out. All right, let's talk a little bit here about this news that broke out yesterday, that the XRP Ledger Foundation, very important, part of this ecosystem as a decentralization. They do a lot of important work maintaining the ledger, safeguarding the ledger, advancing the features of the ledger, that there's some problems there. And I thought it really was Ripple trying to push them out the door or restructure that foundation in some new image. And we heard they're going to be rebranding themselves as the inclusive something or another. Who really cares? That's not what's happening here. What's happening is the foundation, they are leaving XRP. What we know is the XRP Ledger Foundation, their focus is no longer going to be educating, promoting, and really advancing the XRP Ledger. Probably they're going to be more aligned with Zahao and that network. Yesterday, I was pretty negative towards Monica Long. And in some ways, maybe I still am. But I'll tell you, she gave me the most transparent answer, because a lot of other people were trying to tell me, oh no, this new foundation is XRP plus a lot more. She said, look, they're doing their own thing. They're going over there. We're going to introduce a new foundation that's for the XRP ledger. Very nice of her to be that transparent, to be honest. I wouldn't expect that. She did it. She came out here and said, you know what? There's something new on the horizon for the XRP ecosystem, and we'll let you know about that as soon as we can. And it's separate from this inclusion network stuff. I have an article up on junglelinkxrp.com. I'll link it down below. You can read through it if you want to know all the minutia. But I'll tell you my main hesitation here, my main concern. When you look at who encompasses the XRP Ledger Foundation, a lot of the same people work at XRPL Labs. So my main question here is, are those folks and all the work they're doing with some and the hubs they run and the full history nodes, all that kind of stuff, are they also leaving? Because man, that's important work they do. They do a lot of work to maintain, to roll out new, advanced features. Everyone thinks that's all Ripple that does this stuff, and it's really the people at XRPL Labs. And are they going to jump ship as well? And I don't know. I haven't got any information they are, but it just makes me wonder, because you have the foundation that's leaving, and it has a lot of the same people. It's just a normal question to ask. And if that is the case, who's going to replace them? Because we know Ally Networks, they already shut down their hub. And I think there's only 3 people. There's Ally, there's XRPL Labs, and there's Ripple. And we need these hubs. They are central to everything that's going on in the XRP ledger. It's very expensive to run. I want to say like 20, 30 grand a month. I don't know the exact details, but it's not something like you or I could spool up, in the basement of our house. That ain't going to work. Like, this takes a very serious enterprise with a lot of funding and a lot of know-how to run those, and you need those hubs. Now, I'm sure they're going to figure something out here. And I'm sure Wind ain't just going to, if he is going to leave, and I don't know that he is, let me make that clear. But if he is going to leave, I'm sure he'll do it in a transitionary way. He's not going to leave everyone hanging. But it just leaves a lot of questions here for me. And I think investors need to know this stuff. I know the thing they're putting out there is they'll let us know as soon as they can. But, this is serious stuff. We're on the cusp of a bull run here. We need to be informed, and hopefully they tell us sooner than later. Don't let this thing drag on. Obviously, this has been cooking in the background for quite some time, and I think investors need those disclosures. I told Vet today on Twitter, I don't think the foundation, Ripple, anyone should do things to pump the price of XRP. But investors have specific needs we need met, and that's full and fair disclosures in a timely manner. We need to know what's going on behind the scenes when it's this significant. Keep us involved, because our involvement in this network is just as important as anyone else. If we go away, the whole thing collapses and there's no point. No one's looking out for our needs as the investor. We need to do so ourselves and not trust that everything is going to be perfect magically. There's a lot of serious questions here, and I'm not going to paint anyone the villain here, whether it be Ripple or the foundation or the people associated with that. It might just be a time for people to go their separate ways. They've hit the end of the road. Their vision no longer meets. That's okay. That's part of life. This happens a lot of times. But the question is, if that's happening, exactly who is exiting this ecosystem, what's their time frame, and how will they be replaced? Because these are important questions for the vitality and the longevity of this network. And I think investors have a right and really a need to know this information. And I think in the future, this will be legally obligated to tell us. They're not right now. They don't have to tell us anything. I think that's going to change, and you can see why. This is pertinent information as an investor you should have. But I think as good participants in this ecosystem, even if it takes a little bit of time, and of course there still may be some uncertainty as they're negotiating in the background, we need some kind of framework here and some roadmap to how this will all play out. It's very important, the decentralization of the network and the ecosystem and who's going to maintain the infrastructure. Like, this isn't minor things. We need to know about that. Again, I took down my videos yesterday because I didn't have the full information, and I was making some assumptions there, and now I understand it's not, the shifting or molding of the foundation into some new entity. It's they're leaving. They're out of here. And really, this opens up a lot of new questions we need answered. But I'm not overly concerned, because I'll tell you this, like, you even look at Ally Networks. They made the decision, we're going to leave. They didn't just slam those machines shut and take off. They let everyone know far in advance what they were going to be doing and how they were going to be exiting. And everyone involved here are a class act. I can tell you, if for some reason, and I don't know they are, if XRP Labs is going to leave, they'll do the same thing. They're not going to leave us hanging. They're not going to put the network in peril. Everyone involved here has my ultimate trust, so that's great. But someone needs to kind of push the buttons for our interests here, because you have Ripple, who's building, next generation payments. You have infrastructure runners that have their own needs for running this network. You have us, the investors. Our needs are just as important. And it's not necessarily we get an opinion on how this will play forward, but we need to be informed. Then we can make informed decisions about our investment. That is paramount. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.